Zambia has long been a beautiful place for tourists to visit, with natural sights and wonders pervading the country. But for the Seventh-day Adventist Church in recent years, the focus has been on Zambia for its explosive membership growth. From 2011 to 2024, membership more than doubled here. Today, we'll look at two ways the church is reaching people across Zambia with the message of Jesus' love. The first is through quality Adventist education.
Seventh-day Adventist schools have really been a backbone in terms of spreading the gospel. One of the things in the education department that we have actually discovered is that teach a learner to know about Christ, an intellectual who is able to read on their own the Bible, read on their own the fundamental beliefs. When they have gotten the truth, they will become actual ambassadors of Christ wherever they go.
One such place of learning is the Sala Adventist School. Located an hour outside the capital city of Lusaka, this rural institution has educated thousands of students for more than 100 years.
Sala School is very special to me. I am what I am because of this school. I started school in 1983, when I was just a small boy. It's special. Even my kids are here because I believe that being the Adventist school, my kids will learn some good morals. It is not only education, but it is also good to learn about God, because here they do learn about God, which is very good in their lives, because when they grow with the fear of the Lord, they'll be, growing in a good way.
The Sala School, like most in Zambia, is considered to be what is called a grant-aid school. The government covers tuition fees to ensure that every child receives an education.
The good part is that government is willing to be paying for teachers, while as the church does administration. We set all the rules of the school according to our administration as a church, of which government does not conflict with that. So I foresee it to be a very good partnership, even to go on the long run, because it helps us to do much more in terms of developmental projects. Instead of concentrating on maybe where do we find money to pay the teachers, we concentrate on developing, and doing other stuff that would have as many learners as possible, as well as the gospel would have been preached to as many learners.
It is the policy which the government brought in to say free education. So this free education has brought many, many children, even those who had stopped.
One of the students who stopped attending school a couple years ago is 16-year-old Maureen.
Yes, I'm Maureen. So what happens is that I supposed to be in grade 10 this year. Now, unfortunately, I got pregnant and then I got married for a while. The husband of mine refused me to come to school. He just said no, just being married. But no, I wasn't comfortable because I realized that I'm still young. I can't marry. I can't manage to live in the marriage. So that's how I forced myself to come back to school, because I thought that the only key which can make my life better is education. So I came back to school because it is free education, no more of looking for money to pay for school fees. I started coming to school when my child had 3 months old. I started coming to school. I leave him with my mother, takes care of him, but still, I guess there's a problem, because in terms of sharing the time between taking care of the child, studying, it's very hard to me. Sometimes I miss the classes, because sometimes my mother goes out, so I miss the school because there's no one to take care of him. So it's very difficult, but I'm just forcing myself to say, no, I just continue coming to school.
Despite the valuable education Maureen receives at Sala, there are many challenges here, mostly due to the lack of space. There are 1,300 students who attend, up in recent years since the government made education free, including a number of girls like Maureen who stopped coming due to marriage and pregnancy.
There is an influx of them coming in numbers, and which has brought a very big burden to the teachers, because they are not able to do what they're supposed to do. Because you find one teacher is handling maybe a lot of them. A normal classroom maybe should have just 35 or 40 students. But this time around you can find maybe 80, 90 in one class, which is not good.
The frustrations from the teachers, number one, it's the very overcrowding. Our desire as teachers is that you need to attend to the need of a child. And when you have failed that particular day to say, I have not done much because these pupils, it's like I have not gone to an extent where they have understood well, that one brings a frustration in a teacher. We wake up at home to go for work in order to go and deliver, only to discover that you have not delivered to the expectations because maybe a greater number of the pupils have not been attended to. That's the major frustration.
There are so many challenges. One, if you are not sensitive as a class teacher, as a teacher, you won't be able to know who is present and who is not present. We are supposed to call a register. For you to finish calling out names, you will have finished maybe 15 minutes, and the period is 40 minutes. For you to finish calling out a register for about 140. And again, when we are explaining in that huge class, those that are in front, they will be able to get something. But those at the back, if you are not sensitive as a class, they will be seated as though they are listening and yet they are not getting anything. Maybe 20% will get the information, 80% nothing. Then for me, for a teacher to mark 150, 140 learners in a day is difficult because you need to move from this class to another class. So you'd find that by the end of the day, a teacher is exhausted, and then in the end, you even fail to plan for the next day because of the workload that is put on one person. So all those challenges, they are more frustrating to a teacher. You would prefer to teach a class which has a small number of classes than teaching a class with a huge number of learners.
We are so many in the classes, sometimes we don't even see the boards. When we sit on the floor, we are being disturbed in terms of learning. We don't write properly, we just sit on the floor. In the classes, some make noise, which are not very attentive for the classes. Some of us, we just play around because we are so many, we don't even they don't participate.
I'm frustrated because my children cannot get the education which they deserve because there are so many. The more the kids be in the classroom, the less the attention they get.
The Adventist Church in South Zambia asked Maranatha for help with the exasperating situation at Sala, and we've committed to constructing a new 4-classroom building and a 6-unit staff housing block. These new structures will lessen the extraordinary burden on students and teachers and allow for more teachers that the government has agreed to send.
And I can't wait for that day to see them, rejoice, dancing, praising you, Maranatha team, to come to their aid. So they'll be happy, so to say.
We come here because we know that education is the key to success. Here where we are, a lot of people are unemployed people, so we see that when we come to school, we get educated, we live the better life, we start working as teachers, doctors, something like that.
As the Bible says, train up a child in the way he or she should grow. So if Maranatha could come to our aid to help us build more classroom blocks for these learners, we are going to have a learner who are going to be a very good future leader for Zambia, not only for Zambia, but for the world.
When we return, we'll travel across the country to eastern Zambia to visit an Adventist hub with multiple elementary schools, but no high school. In eastern Zambia, near the border of Malawi, lies the Adventist town of Umwami. Here, a second method of evangelism has been used by the Adventist Church to reach the region for nearly a century. Founded as a mission outpost in the 1920s, missionaries started out sharing the gospel through Christ's healing ministry. Today, the community has grown into an Adventist hub centered around the Umwami Adventist Hospital.
Apart from just receiving the physical healing, here they also provide the spiritual healing. So when somebody is being attended to, he is also counseled, the word of God is shared to the patient, and that one also becomes a healing.
Beyond the central pillar of the hospital and nursing school, this Adventist hub includes multiple churches and 2 primary schools, but noticeably absent is a high school.
There is no Adventist secondary school in the whole of Eastern Province. So as a result, you find that the children who come from Adventist-oriented schools, as they join into government schools, their spiritual well-being is being affected. And the other thing is the finances. Most of the people around here are subsistence farmers who only get money maybe once per year after doing the harvest. So for them to raise money to send their children to go somewhere very far, because the nearest school from here is about 30 kilometers. And it becomes a challenge for the parents to raise money.
Banda Kalian is a father of 6 whose children are at various stages of their educational journey, including those at the Umwami Primary School. The institution boasts an enrollment of more than 800 kids, but when these students finish elementary, parents have to make tough choices for their continued education.
Yeah, it's very expensive to send the children very far away. We spend a lot of money. If we are provided with a secondary school, I see it that many will complete their education very well, because it will be very close to us. We have so many who are just sitting. After qualifying at grade 7, they fail to go to secondary schools.
There are children who qualified to go to higher grades, but because of financial constraints, they are at home seated. But with a secondary school nearby, those children could have progressed. Even if we have a free educational policy in the country, but how do they go to those schools? When it's very far, they have no money. They have no money to go there.
Joyce Mutinta Congo is another parent of children at Umwami Primary, but also has a child away at a secondary boarding school. She's concerned about the spiritual environment in which they live.
And the challenge is that where they are, they don't go for worship on Sabbath. Before going to church, they have to wake. After waking, that's when they go for church services.
The Adventist Church in eastern Zambia asked Maranatha to help. We've committed to constructing a large 16-classroom education and evangelism center high school for Umwami.
Instead of them struggling, looking for money for transport to send their children, there will be no need for that. The distance will be shortened, where others will just come on bicycles and other means of transport.
It will be helpful because they will be free to worship and coming to church on Sabbath. Even on Fridays, they will be having their Vespers, and they won't be working on Sabbath.
This will be a big project for Maranatha, and we need your help. Come on a mission trip to Zambia to help construct this important place of learning, or make a gift to help this project come to reality.
Come and assist Umwami. And we look forward that when that school is going to be opened, it will make a difference among the people here, as it will be able to groom our children's character, because it is that character that Christ will be looking for when he will come. So it is my prayer that let this secondary school be built here at Umwami.
When we return, Maranatha volunteers work to provide a place of healing to communities in Zambia with little medical resources. About an hour and a half from the Umwami Adventist Hospital lies the rural community of Kasenengwa. Most people lead simple lives as farmers and live in modest homes. In contrast to Umwami, modern healthcare is not available here. resulting in urgent medical complications due to illness, injuries, and pregnancy.
There's 5 miles one direction to the nearest clinic and 8 miles another direction to the nearest clinic. So if a woman goes into labor in these villages and is walking, it's very expensive to get transportation. I think in 2010 or somewhere, the church had started to talk about and cast vision for building a clinic here. The community leaders were begging them for this, and villages that were going to be served by this area started burning bricks. Well, we came here two years ago, I think it was, and looked at the bricks. I brought them up on the pile of bricks, and I said, all that we can do is encourage you to pray. We don't have money for clinics, and it's not something we normally do.
Eventually, after discussion and prayer, Maranatha decided to help. Over the course of that time, a donor provided funds to David and his wife Susan to use for Maranatha in whatever way they saw fit.
This family that had given us this money had lost a son that we knew and were friends with, had died, and we lost a daughter when she was very young, 8 months old. And so we wanted to make this clinic happen in memory of her and be something that, just would help bring healing to people locally.
They asked us if we would name it after someone. Our daughter, who passed away multiple years ago, but our daughter passed away with a heart defect that was never detected. She was only 8.5 months old, and I just look at all these moms and little babies, and it's really touched my heart being here, because I think about, what they're going through, and what do they do when their baby gets malaria or a flu and they're just not getting well? Where do they go?
In October 2023, 23 volunteers, led by David and Susan Woods, arrived at the Bethel Seventh-day Adventist Church to help construct a medical clinic in their late daughter's honor.
So here we are, we're building the building, and it's called Rochelle's Place of Healing. That was the name of our daughter. She died back in '92. And so this has a different level of, emotional involvement to us than just other work that we do, because it's our job and we get excited and whatever, but this one is just a little different.
I didn't know that until I came, that the building was going to be dedicated to their daughter. But they've given so much to Maranatha. I think it's wonderful that because they love Africa and they've lived in Zambia, whenever they come, there'll be something that will be here in remembrance of their daughter, and I think it'll mean a whole lot to them. I thought that would be cool as a nurse to lay block, build the building, and not necessarily be on the side of taking care of the patients, but providing them for a place to be taken care of.
And I'm sitting in the waiting area. This is the area of space that they'll come in and be received by the reception area and then see the provider. And there's 2 maternity rooms in there where the women can be in labor. There's some other exam rooms. There's a storage room. There's a bathroom, a sink in the hallway and sink in the toilet in the bathroom, and then a reception area and an office. And they'll probably use one of these exam rooms as a laboratory, where they do testing and stuff like that.
Besides construction, volunteers provided medical attention through a pop-up clinic out of the Bethel Church, built by Maranatha in 2015.
Well, we were blessed to offer a clinic during the first 3 days of this week, and we're working together with Mwami Hospital. They sent some nurses and a doctor and a pharmacy tech and a dental tech, which has complemented our team a lot, because our group is quite small to actually be offering a clinic, but it's worked out really well. The first day we saw about 122 patients. Yesterday was 201, and today we're getting close to 400. We have children with cough and flu and fevers, things like that. We're seeing a lot of pain, which is typical. You have people that have had pain in different places for a year or two, or years even, just haven't been able to afford to go anywhere. to be seen by anyone. And we're also getting high blood pressure, we're getting some diabetics, we're getting some with heart conditions. So it's actually a broad spectrum that we've been seeing. It's been very rewarding to be here, but also to know that we're not just seeing patients on a temporary basis. They're going to have somewhere to come back to. But we actually have a fairly small group that was able to minister to this community in a unique way through building the clinic, but also through holding a clinic. It felt like even though we didn't have a lot of people, I had a couple medical people that really wanted to be involved in a clinic. So I felt like we really needed to pull something together, and God worked it out. But it also showed all of the volunteers that came and were part of it what the great need was for the clinic. And then also to have a children's ministry program as part of our small group has been awesome as well. So I just praise God that our little Gideon's Army has been able to do some really amazing things here in a short time. And we've connected a lot with, the VBS leader is training people how to lead children's programs, and the medical people are teaming up with and mentoring the young people from Maranatha Hospital. Some of them are newly graduated nurses, and they're getting to do something they don't normally do. What our goal is here is just to have more people get to know Jesus and bring better health and healing to this community, and have the church connect to the community in a positive way. Health education, medical, there's a lot of different ways that the clinic will benefit the community.
From Rochelle's place of healing at Bethel to a new secondary school at Umwami to more adequate classroom space at Sala, Maranatha is helping to spread the gospel across Zambia through construction. If you would like to join in on this work, get involved, volunteer on an upcoming project, or make a gift to fund the bright futures of students and families throughout Zambia. With your help, we can bring lasting change and the message of God's undying love to thousands of His children.